Well, the regional parliamentary sittings kicked off in Gulu City, and the Speaker of Parliament maintains her stance that these sittings will continue. Also, she says that they have not sought for a supplementary budget, so whatever they are doing is within the budget that was allocated to the Parliament of Uganda. Good morning, my name is Olive Monica Najuma here on Good Morning Uganda. Thank you so much for being a part of this show, and I am joined by Chiravo Robert Nyonyintono, and in Studio B I have Chantal Olive Akandinda and Jerome Paul Sonko, and together we will walk you into this morning, give you updates on any news that you have heard, and we will have topical discussions as well. And that being said, I'd like to check on the people in Studio B, starting with Jerome Paul Sonko. How are you this morning?
I am okay. I am doing fantastic, and I am up and running, up and ready for what the new month is going to present for us. That is the month of September, which will be starting this Sunday. So yeah, here I am. And the funny part about today morning, though, is that most parts of Kampala have received some rain, and then the other parts haven't. So from the side where I come from, there was no bit of a raindrop. Surprisingly, reaching around Nakawa, it seems like it rained heavily in the night. So it was one funny experience this morning. But that aside, everything is okay. And well, here we are. You've mentioned something about the regional parliamentary sittings. Those particular ones kicked off yesterday in Gulu. And well, on the side of what really caught my attention was the fact that the seats of some members of parliament who belong to the opposition were really empty, meaning they stood on business of not attending. However, it seems like maybe they should have attended. I kind of think they should, because it doesn't change anything from my side of things. But that said, good morning.
Well, good morning indeed, and right next to me is Mr. Nyonyintono. How are you?
I'm fine. Wow. I love what I see this morning.
Oh, really? You do?
My eyes, the optical nutrition I've given my eyes is really very, very satisfying this
All
morning.
right. I love the sound of that. You've begun the day with satisfaction.
The optically. Satisfaction. Well, talking about the sittings in Gulu, one thing that really interested me is the way the opposition chose to do things. Yes, there were some seats that were really empty, but still there were a number of opposition MPs that chose to go. One of them is Honorable Twaha Kagabo, who chose to ride his BMW like the late Speaker Olanya Jacob used to do. So he rode all the way to Gulu. But he's an opposition member of parliament, and there we saw him still attending this sitting. So this speaks something to the leader of opposition, Honorable Joel Senyonyi. Are you still having the command when you say we are boycotting, and then you have a fraction of members of parliament belonging to the opposition finding their way to the regional sitting that is happening in Gulu? That is a question now you have to understand and think about. Am I still in control of my forces, or I'm losing grip on them? And that will determine that should I make any other utterances of boycotting. If so, where does this leave you as leadership? You need to change to always feel, am I still in control? And if you notice that you're losing grip, then you must mark the statements you make. Otherwise, you may end up finding yourself that you've lost grip of the people that are supposed to be listening to you, and it has an impact on your political career.
Interesting take. So the big question here is, has he not lost his grip on his members of parliament? I'm speaking about the leader of opposition in parliament, Honorable Joel Senyonyi. We will know as these sittings continue, because they are happening in Gulu City for 3 days, and then they will move to another region. Good morning, Chantal.
Good morning, Olive. You look lovely in the blue.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you? I was looking at the fact that the National Unity Platform did not attend the parliamentary sitting in Gulu yesterday, and And then I had Robert talk about the influence of the leader of opposition on members of opposition. And it got my mind thinking, what is the role of the leader of opposition in parliament? What is the role of opposition in parliament? And I think now at some point it's high time we realized that we are in a way missing the point or forgetting the reason as to why these individuals are in parliament. And if the question was the budgets are going to be high and we are wasting taxpayers' money, yet we have opposition members that have been given service awards or taken money. The double standards here they don't portray this as a good image. But also, if we're not spending more than we've been spending, I think it does not hurt to get to see how this plays out or how this works out. So I think we are missing a point somewhere with what is the role of opposition and why. It actually also brings a question of why are they in parliament? Is it to show better to their constituents or to their people, or it is to fight certain individuals that are in power?
Well, these questions and more will be answered in our newsreel at 7, so make sure to stick around as we delve into that conversation. But for now, we go into the news.
We'll begin with the GLOW loan program that was officially launched yesterday, where the government, through the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, officially launched the GROW financing facility, where a tune of $50 million from the World Bank has been set aside for women entrepreneurs to borrow and boost their businesses. The Vice President, Major Retired Jessica Alupo, launched this facility and empowered women to effectively utilize this initiative to eradicate poverty and boost socio-economic development. The $50 million loan fund is part of the $217 million Driving the GROW project, a grant fund by the World Bank. The funds will be available to women entrepreneurs through 6 participating financial institutions that include Post Bank, Centenary Bank, Finance Trust Bank, DFCU, Equity Bank, and Stanbic Bank. Women entrepreneurs will be able to access funds ranging from $4 million to $20 million at an interest rate as low as 10.5% per year. The Vice President, Jessica Alupo, unveiled the fund and said they are intended to boost women-led businesses and contribute to economic transformation. Alupo highlighted that government funds such as these shouldn't be wasted or even a cause of domestic violence in homes. The Grow Run program was done in consultation from micro, small, and medium enterprise and is aimed at empowering women-led businesses to thrive. Implemented by the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development and the Private Sector Foundation of Uganda. GROW project objectives is to increase access to entrepreneurial services that enable female entrepreneurs to grow their business in targeted locations, including refugee hosting communities.
I love the sound of women winning. Now moving on, the regional sittings of Parliament have kicked off in northern Uganda district of Gulu. The Speaker of Parliament, Anita Annette Among, in her communication reiterated the need to bring Parliament closer to the people, a move which, among others, promotes cohesion and growth. Nevertheless, some members of the opposition embraced the sittings despite a call by the leader of opposition, Joel Senyonyi, to boycott the sittings. The regional sittings will last for 3 days. The first day of the regional sittings of Parliament started as early as 10 a.m. at Kaunda grounds in Gulu City. Hundreds of members of Parliament attended the sittings proclaimed by the Speaker in accordance to the rules of the House. Despite criticism by a section of members of Parliament led by the leader of opposition, Joel Senyonyi, some members of the opposition embraced the sitting. Joel Senyonyi cited wasteful expenditure in disguise of bringing Parliament closer to the people. But the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Annette Among, in her communication to the House, reiterated the purpose of the regional sittings, which, among others, exhibit cohesion and growth. Anita says the sittings serve as a benchmark on the urgent challenges in northern Uganda, which need to be addressed. Members of Parliament shared mixed reactions after the success of the first regional sitting. The House was joined by a section of the community in northern Uganda who closely followed the proceedings. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni will join the sitting on Thursday in a quest to further solicit for permanent solutions to the issues in the Northern Corridor.
So the president is expected there today.
Yeah.
Well, moving on, the newly appointed Vice President of the FDC for Northern Region, Hassan Fungaro, has wished well the formerly splinter FDC Katonga faction in their new protracted move to form a new political party, the PFF Party. Speaking in an exclusive interview shortly after the PFF Party registration process was announced, Fungarol warned the Katonga group of legal action should they attempt to use the FDC party structures. Fungarol also revealed that the exit of FDC Katonga from the main FDC party housed in Najjanankumbi has not in any way affected the financial stability and daily operational runnings of the party.
Now focusing on the water crisis at the Luzira Maximum Prison, the accrued unpaid arrears water bills of 18 billion shillings by the Uganda prisons to National Water and Sewerage Corporation led to the disconnection of prisons complex from accessing clean water on the 13th of August 2024. This was due to the disagreement between the two government entities. Ministries of Water and Environment and that of Internal Affairs for now 2 weeks have failed to reach an agreement of reconnecting the complex. The 80,000 plus facility had a projected budget of at least 7.9 billion shillings to pay on the bill. However, government in the first financial quarter released only 2.3 billion shillings to the cause. This drastic measure has left the facility, which is home to thousands of inmates and staff, struggling to access this basic necessity. Prisons now depend on 5 bowsers to buy water from outside. The current cost of each truck of water minus fuel is 150,000 shillings, and the complex utilizes at least 15 daily, which is costly even more than national water rates. Baine reiterated on the prison's intention of finding a long-lasting solution by drilling its water from the ground, though limited budget incapacitate the commencement of this project. It is worth noting that Uganda Prison Service is not the only government agency that has unpaid water bills. The total outstanding water bills from government entities stands at 81 billion shillings, which the water entity need for water processing and distribution. One would wonder why in our homes, when you have 30,000, an outstanding area of 30,000 shillings, you're disconnected. But then you look at 81 billion from government agencies and entities. It's rather laughable and actually sad.
Your home is not a government entity, neither government
So
agency.
some animals are more animals than others.
It's all about that here government has the mandate to give these institutions money.
Okay.
And if it doesn't give them the money to do that, then there is some bit of talk. But at your home, it is typically your home, and we shall disconnect you, madam.
Potato, onions, same
Government
thing.
doesn't pay your
But
bills.
let's move on, and Chantal will take us through the international news stories we've gathered this morning.
Now, Kamala Harris's campaign for U.S. president has had an Egyptian-American lawyer and former Department of Homeland Security official to help lead outreach to Arab American voters who hold sway in some states crucial to the November 5th election. Brenda Abdullah will be tasked with soaring up support from a community frustrated with U.S. support for Israel's war in Gaza. Vice President Harris, a Democrat, has already hired Afghan-American lawyer Nazrina Bagzi for gaining the support of Muslim Americans. Harris is in a tight race with Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. Votes from Muslim and Arab Americans could help decide the outcome in battleground states like Michigan, which has seen street protests over the Israel-Gaza war. U.S. President Joe Biden won a large share of the Arab and Muslim vote in 2020, but his support for Israel amidst the huge death toll in Gaza has frustrated many community members. They launched an uncommitted campaign against him in Democratic nominating contests. Away from that, European Union Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell says Israel's major military incursion into the occupied West Bank must not be the premises of a war extension from Gaza and a repeat of the full-scale destruction seen in Palestinian enclave. The UN's World Food Programme suspends staff movement across Gaza after one of its clearly marked UN humanitarian vehicles hit at least 10 times by Israeli gunfire at a military checkpoint. 8 Palestinians have been killed in the latest Israeli bombing of a school sheltering displaced people to the east of Deir el-Bala in central Gaza. The largest Israeli military raid on the occupied West Bank in decades continues, with at least 11 Palestinians killed and dozens wounded in the first day of the incursion yesterday. Now, at least 40,534 people have been killed and 93,778 wounded in Israel's war on Gaza, while in Israel, the death toll still remains at 1,139. And lastly, South African billionaire Johan Rupert has overtaken Nigerian industrialist Aliko Dangote as Africa's richest person, according to the latest data from the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. Mr. Rupert controls Richmond, one of the world's largest luxury goods firms, which owns brands like Cartier and Mont Blanc. His net worth has surged by $1.9 billion to $14.3 billion, placing him at the 147th position globally, 12 places ahead of Mr. Dangote. The Nigerian's fortune has fallen by $1.7 billion this year, giving him a net worth of $13.4 billion, according to Bloomberg. The downturn in Mr. Dangote's worth underscores Nigeria's challenging economic environment, where his conglomerate primarily operates, and since President Bola Tinubu assumed office, he has introduced several economic reforms in Africa's most populous nation, including the removal of fuel subsidies, which have contributed to high inflation, currently of over 30%. Mr. Tinubu said the reforms were necessary to cut government spending and stimulate long-term growth. And that is the last story from our international stories this morning.
Now, according to the Daily Monitor, URA is to start collecting school fees in the new education policy. What is this all about? We will know more, and you will know more when you buy the dailies today. And also, Jerome Paul has more in the press review.
Well, with the new vision, the Northern Uganda members of Parliament table 36 demands as President Museveni is set to address the House today. Then also, Green Schools debate, Mengo SS emerge winners, and matters Mpox. 4 cases confirmed. World Health Organization puts Uganda on alert. Then there's the bigger interview, Uganda's beauty unrivaled, according to an envoy. Then Katanga trial, expert explains how DNA samples were handled. Then we'll look at the Daily Monitor, the HIV hotspots. National statistics, a Uganda AIDS Commission report shows that HIV infections remain a burden in urban areas and among adolescent girls and young women despite efforts to tame the epidemic. Now, new cities, Kalangala, Chotera have highest cases of infections, with Fort Portal having 14.1%, followed by Kalangala at 13.1%. Chotera is also at 14.1%, level with Fort Portal. Then Soroti City is at 12.5% when it comes to HIV prevalence. Then Lira City at 12% and Masaka City at 11.3%. Now the national prevalence is at 5%, as officials say that the nationwide rate of new infections is not declining at the desired rate. In the other news, members of parliament blame slow progress of North on poor infrastructure, as how universities shared slots for medical interns. Read about that in the Daily Monitor. Then DNA traces of Katanga, widow and daughter found on pistol. As in DM Today, matters relationships from a nasty heartbreak to blossoming love. Read about the love story of this couple in the Daily Monitor. Then also, the Uganda Revenue Authority is set to collect school fees in new education policy proposal. How will that be done? The draft policy is designed to make education more accessible, equitable and efficient, with direct impacts on students, parents and schools. That report is also in the Daily Monitor. Now, the Daily Nation in Kenya, graft load nailed as 40 big fish are up next. In matters financial cases, Leno Kulal convicted of corruptly receiving more than 83 million Kenyan shillings from the county. And then good news for farmers, boost for growers as state raises wheat buying price. President wars Raila supporters, signals 2027 pact. Now in matters education, stop bullying teachers. Kotu now tells TSC as Africa CDC boss, we are not ready to deal with Mpox. Now in matters crime, police zero in on mystery vehicle in Jinjiri jailbreak. More of that is in the Daily Nation. Now lastly, from our press review, the Citizen newspaper, what record high gold prices mean, as Tanzania, being a major gold producer in Africa, is set to reap the benefits after prices of the precious metal surged to record highs this week. This is followed by the fact that it's driven by a strong US dollar and jitters over the forthcoming US elections. Now, task ahead for Ndungulile as new World Health Organization Africa head. Then business clarification. Government explains dollarization of tobacco trade, as the airport's body set for greater autonomy as Bunge passes the bill. Now, Samia wants more public investment in food security. And that does it for our press review this Thursday.
Well, thank you, Jerome Paul. Now, we will take a short break and we will leave you with the inspirational song of the day. We'll be coming right back with our newsreel topic. Stick around.
Live.
Well, the regional parliamentary sittings kicked off in Gulu City, and the Speaker of Parliament maintains her stance that these sittings will continue. Also, she says that they have not sought for a supplementary budget, so whatever they are doing is within the budget that was allocated to the Parliament of Uganda. Good morning, my name is Olive Monica Najuma here on Good Morning Uganda. Thank you so much for being a part of this show, and I am joined by Chiravo Robert Nyonyitano, and in Studio B I have Chantal Olive Akandinda and Jerome Paul Sonko, and together we will walk you into this morning, give you updates on any news that you have heard, and we will have topical discussions as well. And that being said, I'd like to check on the people in Studio B, starting with Jerome Paul Sonko. How are you this morning?
I'm okay. I'm doing fantastic, and I am up and running, up and ready for what the new month is going to present for us. That is the month of September, which will be starting this Sunday. So yeah, here I am. And the funny part about today morning, though, is that most parts of Kampala have received some rain, and then the other parts haven't. So from the side where I come from, there was no bit of a raindrop. Surprisingly, reaching around Nakawa, it seems like it rained heavily in the night. So it was one funny experience this morning. But that aside, everything is okay. And well, here we are. You've mentioned something about the regional parliamentary sittings. Those particular ones kicked off yesterday in Gulu. And well, on the side of what really caught my attention was the fact that the seats of some members of parliament who belong to the opposition were really empty, meaning they stood on business of not attending. However, it seems like maybe they should have attended. I kind of think they should, because it doesn't change anything from my side of things. But that said, good morning.
Well, good morning indeed. And right next to me is Mr. Nyonyintono. How are you?
I'm fine. Wow. I love what I see this morning.
Oh, really? You do?
My eyes, the optical nutrition I've given my eyes is really very, very satisfying this
All
morning.
right. I love the sound of that. You've begun the day with satisfaction.
The optical satisfaction. Well, talking about the sittings in Gulu, one thing that really interested me is the way the opposition chose to do things. Yes, there were some seats that were really empty, but still there were a number of opposition MPs that chose to go. One of them is Honorable Twaha Kagabo, who chose to ride his BMW like the late Speaker Olanya Jacob used to do. So he rode all the way to Gulu, but he's an opposition member of parliament, and there we saw him still attending this sitting. So this speaks something to the leader of opposition, Honorable Joel Senyonyi. Are you still having the command when you say we are boycotting, and then you have a fraction of members of parliament belonging to the opposition finding their way to the regional sitting that is happening in Gulu? That is a question now you have to understand and think about. Am I still in control of my forces, or I'm losing grip on them? And that will determine that should I make any other utterances of boycotting? If so, where does this leave you as leadership? You need to change to always feel, am I still in control? And if you notice that you're losing grip, then you must mark the statements you make. Otherwise, you may end up finding yourself that you've lost grip of the people that are supposed to be listening to you, and it has an impact on your political career.
Interesting take. So the big question here is, has he not lost his grip on his members of parliament? I'm speaking about the leader of opposition in parliament, Honorable Joel Senyonyi. We will know as these sittings continue, because they are happening in Gulu City for 3 days, and then they will move to another region. Good morning, Chantal.
Good morning, Olive. You look lovely in the blue.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you? I was looking at the fact that the National Unity Platform did not attend the parliamentary sitting in Gulu yesterday, and then I had Robert talk about the influence of the leader of opposition on members of opposition, and it got my mind thinking: what is the role of the leader of opposition in parliament? What is the role of opposition in parliament? And I think now at some point it's high time we realized that we are in a way missing the point, or forgetting the reason as to why these individuals are in parliament. And if the question was the budgets are going to be high and we are wasting taxpayers' money, yet we have opposition members that have been given service awards or taken money. The double standards here, they don't portray this as a good image. But also, if we're not spending more than we've been spending, I think it does not hurt to get to see how this plays out or how this works out. So I think we are missing a point somewhere with what is the role of opposition and why. It actually also brings a question of why are they in parliament? Is it to show better?
Well, it is a good morning, Uganda, and it's time for our news bill. It's 5 minutes past 7 o'clock this morning, and I welcome you if you have just joined us. Now, if you started with us at 6:30, you're doing a great thing to start your day with us. We are going all the way to 9 a.m. But right about now, we would like to delve into a conversation regarding the low uptake of insurance in Uganda. The industry seems to be growing, but many Ugandans seem to be hesitant to take up insurance policies. And one wonders, why is this? Why are Ugandans not taking up insurance policies as expected? We'd also like to understand what exactly insurance means. Now, for most people, they think that insurance is a specific product that is designed to protect people against specific risks which individuals choose to take up or not to take up. But actually, insurance means actions taken by Ugandans with the intention of protecting themselves against financial risks for the purpose of protecting themselves and their loved ones and also their property. So that's where the conversation is going to begin. Now, there are different types of insurance. We do have informal insurance and we have the formal insurance. And I think under the formal insurance, we will have examples of that, and also under the informal insurance, we'll have examples of the same. So before we get into this conversation, Robert, I would like for us to understand the different types of insurance that Ugandans take up or that they choose not to take up. This conversation will be had with Robert Chirabanyonyitono, and on the other side in Studio B, there is Jerome Paul Sonko and Chantal Olive Akandinda, and my name is Olive Monica Najima.
Well, to start with, we must understand that when you talk about insurance, first and foremost, not many Ugandans understand anything to do with insurance. The quickest many know is the third-party insurance, because that is a mandate for everyone on the road, because it is meant that in case of uncertainty, in case of an accident, it covers that third person who is not you or any of your family member in that vehicle or on that motorcycle. And it pays to a maximum of 1 million in terms of damages. Beyond that, unless you enhanced your insurance, the insurer said, well, I need the same third party, but I need it to cater for more, because insurance companies now have come up with different packages that you might go for this only ordinary. So even talking about insurance today, we must understand that there's a person in Kapchorwa, there's a person in Gulu City, there's a person at NOR border. Even understand when you talk about insurance. So then it becomes very hard even for them to think of. Recently I saw government, it has been some discussion for some long time, health insurance, a national health insurance. But even that we failed to have a breakthrough. Now, insurance has still remained a thing for the elite. You go to areas like Chikubo, one of the business hubs in Uganda, and you find people have billions of the cost of value of business, and you will never find them even anywhere closer to insurance. So that is the biggest change, that even before you go any further, do our Ugandans, do our people even understand this thing? When you see this so-called growth, I think it is growth due to investors and the elite class. And actually their growth is very interesting. That apart from the motor third party, they look at, okay, if this year the uptake was maybe 10%. Now you find that maybe it has increased to 5%. But when you analyze who are the people that this growth is attributed to, you may find that very few of these are the common Ugandans.
Okay, so now the insurance I hear you talking about is the formal insurance that takes into consideration things like third party for your vehicle, but also health insurance. In most cases, it's going to be still
Fire, burglary, goods in transit.
Exactly. But there is also another side to insurance, the informal one. Can you give us some examples of the informal insurance policies people could take on? Informal meaning they're not even provided by our known insurance companies.
Well, I don't want to risk to be very sure of the informal insurances that you're talking about, because I want to concentrate personally on the formal, because I can get the statistics, I can move so direct to that.
Okay. Now, according to a report by Finscope in 2018, they said that your usual savings groups, in most cases, actually also operate as informal insurance policies. And there are barrier society memberships where members will, you know, barriers are really expensive, the funerals, and it's one of, so in most cases you put money into a fund or into a savings group that you can now withdraw in the event of something like over death. But you're supposed to replenish it back. And also they considered community health scheme membership, where members would decide to save for purposes of health. But this is at the local level, and it is done by people mostly in rural areas, not in our corporate companies, Robert. So now, I was still considering the same. Finscope gave some statistics regarding the Ugandans who take up insurance and those that do not, and this is where I would like to bring in Chantal Olive. When you look at the numbers that are shared by different reports, Chantal, what's the uptake like? What percentage of Ugandans have taken up insurance policies vis-a-vis those that have not, and what demographics are we looking at here?
Well, we're looking at a stretch of let me give you a stretch of about 10 years, and when I look at a report by 2021, approximately we had about 1% of the total population of Ugandans. 1%. They're the ones that had insurance, and this goes to a stretch of any kind of insurance. The moment you mention insurance, it was only at 1% of the total population. That was by 2021. Now, and you're also looking at growth compared to the previous years. Now, in 2022, we were at a growth of about 20.4% compared to the 10.61% that was in 2021, which I think is a big stride that we have taken. And that's why there is a mention of the industry is growing, but the uptake is still low. But we cannot neglect the fact that it's still growing. And the growth is at 20%, over 20%. And I believe we're headed for a good direction.
Okay. Now, still to add to Chantal's statistics, Finscope did mention that 58% of Ugandans are informally insured. By this, they mean they're in at least one savings group or another, and about 24% are also in a savings group, but these are the informal savings group, not the formal insurance. Now, we would like to look at why, when it comes to formal insurance, many Ugandans are hesitant to take it on. What are some of the risk factors that they look at before they can consider to put their money into an insurance policy? Jerome Paul.
Trust issues. The trust issues is one of them. And when you look at the entire insurance uptake on the African continent, and reasons as to why certain African societies are, hesitant on taking on some of the insurance, is because of trust issues. Others feel like they are putting money into something that is not going to generate anything for them. And it's quite unfortunate, because this brings me to my other point as to why many of the Ugandans are not into insurance, is the lack of awareness. Because what contributes to the trust issues is because you are not aware of the importance of something. that maybe you just have myths about the insurance companies. Because some Ugandans will tell you, even those who have or people who own cars,
yes,
will tell you, how do I benefit from the, you know, from the third party? Not until someone breaks it down for them to understand that, well, with the third party insurance, you're going to find yourself having no burden of covering, you know, the charges that you may incur in case you've actually damaged someone's property, or let's say the third party in the picture has been hit by your vehicle per se, if at all something like that happens. So the lack of awareness is one, and then there is the issue of trust issues. But then there is also the bigger elephant in the room, the affordability of some of these premiums.
Yes.
Not so many Ugandans, and it's, you know, it's just a small portion of Ugandans who can afford insurance or who can afford to pay these premiums. You are looking at, let's say, Ugandans who are in job spaces, and the minimum, you know, salary structure of many of the Ugandans is 500,000 Ugandan shillings. Now, please do note, 500,000 Ugandan shillings is money that not so many people receive every month, because at times salary even delays. Now, when you come to put that into the picture, how many of them will be able to afford the insurance? There are lots of other things at play at that time that people are focusing on. And many of them will sit down and say, if at all I have, let's say, saving group, well, I will need to save some money somewhere. And when you also look at the savings groups, which at times make up the informal bit of the insurance, because they give them that little insurance cover informally, you do realize that the financial pool or the financial muscle is one of the other reasons as to why Ugandans are hesitant of joining insurance. Now, there is also something to do with, you know, the complicity of some of the products available by the insurance companies. That many of the insurance companies best believe bringing on premiums, or most of the premiums that they are fronting are premiums that are less favorable for a certain cluster of people, which is the, I wouldn't want to use the word informal sector, but I would say the less privileged Ugandans. That you're offering premiums that ideally not favorable for everybody, in the sense that not many people are going to afford it, or not many people are going to buy into the idea. When you look at some of the insurance covers that many Ugandans lately are picking up, there is the health insurance. Why are many Ugandan parents or, you know, Ugandans picking it up? It's because they've come to realize that the health sector has become quite unfavorable for many. That unless you have an insurance cover somewhere, it may help you. And again, when you also look at the numbers,
they're very small.
They are very small, of people who are offering the health insurance.
Of which when you look at, when you try to look at the premiums for medical insurance, for example, depending on the cover you want, if it's say, for example, silver, depending on the company, you're starting from around 600,000. If you're going for gold, you're around 1 million Uganda shillings. And then if you're going for platinum, you're starting from about 2 million Uganda shillings. Now, these figures vary.
And that's for the majority of the insurance companies.
Yes, depending on the company, but they're still in that range. And that is not money that is really affordable for every single Ugandan out there. It's a cluster. It's a cluster of Ugandans or of individuals that can afford to pay, even if it's 500,000 a year, because these covers you pay annually, even if it's 1 million Uganda shillings a year.
Chantal, there are covers that are taken per month. Let's say, for instance, if you're insuring, you're taking up an education premium, there you can give them an amount, and you're given an allowance to give an amount, let's say a minimum of 100,000, that can be taken off your bank account for a given period of time, or for when you intend to use this money. Let's say if your child is in primary school and you want to have an education policy for university, how does this work?
The information I was giving a few moments earlier is for the medical side.
Oh, okay.
Now, for these other saving plans and insurance plans, it depends, one, on the company you choose to get your package from. So yes, If it's a study plan, they will, usually depending on the package they have, there is a particular amount of money they deduct from you every single month. There is also the part of savings with insurance. They will tell you you're going to save money for the next 5 years or the next 10 years, and we shall be picking depending on the money you choose, and it can go as low as 50,000 Uganda shillings, still depending on the company. So that money is picked off your salary, or you remit it every single month, and at the end of the 5 years, you are given back that money with a certain percentage that they will be adding onto you after that money, after your time has come to pick that money. Now, this is information that is, one, barely available. Two, someone finds it hard to save 100,000, 50,000, or 150, depending, every single month. One, it's also because our saving culture is not the very best. Also, someone who should be getting medical insurance will sit and be like, how many times do I fall sick in a year? Do I necessarily need to pay 1 million shillings?
Unbeknownst to them, and I like that you brought that up, unbeknownst to them is that you may not fall sick every single year, but it takes like one sickness. I saw a headline by the Daily Monitor last week saying that many Ugandans are being bankrupted by illness, and COVID-19 showed us that many people we deemed rich or financially stable were just one illness away from actually losing everything. Now, according to reports, 74% of Ugandans are not taking up insurance policies because they do not have information regarding the same. And it also shows that many Ugandans that have post-secondary level education are the ones that have the most success and access to insurance policies. But guess what? They're the most uninsured, because people in rural areas are insured through the informal ways I shared earlier, but the ones educated post-secondary level, in as much as they have access to insurance services, are the ones that are not uptaking it. And then people at the age of 55 and above are mostly uninsured. I don't know why this is. Why is it that people that are older, approaching retirement or into retirement, are not covered?
Some of us don't know that they're even doing insurance.
Must understand that there's a lot of ignorance about insurance.
Yes.
That because when someone pays, for example, let me use the commonest, maybe third party, or no, let me use comprehensive insurance for the vehicles,
yes,
for these motorcycles. Now, a person may be told that a year you're paying 760,000 a year. Now, this person looks at this money, says, but if I don't get any accident
in that year,
yes, because you can drive that car and even reach a point of selling it off, and that money is seen as wasted.
Isn't that a viable question?
It's seen as wastage. So, because Ugandans love to invest, take a cent or whatever. If I'm putting this money, return on it's investment. Going to get a. But to plan for uncertainties, why have I said it's ignorance? Go to Chikubo. This person that they don't have the money to insure, because in Chikubo you're going to find young men and women who have made it and drive cars of 200 plus, but that car is not under comprehensive insurance. Even the business that they're depending on for their life, the business they are depending on for their life is not insured. How many schools have gutted fire and some have never opened? Yet there is a policy on fire and burglary businesses. So ignorance is still something that the pushers, the Uganda insurance regulator has to do so much. The system that brings together insurers has to do so much to ensure that people know about insurance, understand what insurance is. But also, the process of pushing for claims,
yes,
is also another hurdle and a hindrance. If I come to you and tell you, this year have paid maybe 5 people or 3 people that had accidents, that a third party, but I have a third party sticker on my car and have not seen the value of third party. So the process of claims I think either it has to be more digitalized, it has to be something that can be expedited. Because if you've knocked, I want to use the common one. If you've, in Uganda, when you knock someone, take them to hospital, then they'll begin treatment and all that. Now, if you're telling me I'm going to see the insurance being able to come in after 2 weeks,
yet I've already spent money, or the money is needed right now.
Yet I've already spent, and that is if I'm lucky enough.
Yeah.
That is if I'm lucky enough. So the process, they have to review it. Ignorance, that process of claims also, because we feel cheated. Many Ugandans feel cheated.
And I think this is the sentiment of many people on insurance across the world. At some point, they feel cheated by insurance companies because it is quite tedious to get your money back or to get a cover where you need it and timely. Yes, Chantal, you have something to say.
At some point, insurance will definitely fall into the line of it's a business. Now, depending on who is the proprietor of this company, it's a business. So what do I mean to say? It's entirely upon you, one, to know your rights, two, to read those documents and understand them. Now, the challenge is that much as we don't have as much information, we are also, our reading culture is terrible. They're going to give you documents and someone says, but these are too many things to read. Then you know how you go to the bank and they tell you sign here, sign here, sign here, without you reading through the documents?
And have you ever noticed that the terms and conditions are usually in very small letterings?
Thank you, and very many pages meanwhile.
To read. Yeah.
So it gets one feeling like, I don't have the time to read this whole document. So if you do not know your rights, if you don't understand the policy, the company policy, or even how that company does its business, definitely you are going to be frustrated. For example, for those that do the saving schemes with insurance companies, do you know that in most of those companies, if you have been saving money and you want to take out your money from that company, if you've not yet made 2 years, you may not be able to get that money. And also, you are not going to be getting 100%. You're likely to get between 50 to 70%. But because you're not given that information, because you do not read and understand, it gets you to a point where you are vulnerable. So it goes to the regulatory authorities and all other stakeholders to let Ugandans know how they can safeguard themselves from people who could be skimming, because we cannot rule out those who are skimming. And then us as individuals, if you're taking on a policy, read through the document, understand it. Is it favorable for you? For example, have you compared even policies, or because your friend tells you, I use this insurance company, you're also running to them, but are they giving you value for the money that you're putting
and
in?
I think that explains, Najuma, the statistics you've just given us, why the informal sector, there's so much in these informal insurances. Why? Because they control them. The four of us here, you know, so we have a saving group. We have our terms. Toja kudukana chef. You know, they're in the community, they know where you stay, you know, they can dictate, and they really understand how this is going to move. Now go to the formal. You find those challenges. I think now the only insurance I'm seeing also coming up is the funeral insurance.
Yes.
Where at least someone has insured themselves, these companies come up, the casket, the whatever, and all that.
But also we have that in the informal. But now I'd like to end with Joram Paul's comments on regulations. In your opinion, Joram, what do you think insurance companies and regulators are supposed to do to improve awareness when it comes to insurance policies?
Well, I think they have to, let's start with the insurance companies themselves, because on the side of the regulators, in most cases, theirs is to give the license and to ensure that the insurance company has the necessary basics to own a company or to continue giving out premiums. Now, on the side of the insurance companies, remember, it is quite unfortunate, but it's the fact that insurance companies are privately owned, and meaning they have to get money to continue in business. So at times you get to realize that why some Ugandans do not feel like getting an insurance cover or getting a premium is because they are afraid that their money might go into insurance and they might not gain anything, because some people want to put money into something that will be profitable for them. Now, what I think, just like Chantal had mentioned earlier here, is that at times you get to realize that the papers one ought to sign before getting a cover or a premium are too many. And there are so many complicated terms. So insurance companies need to be mindful about that. One, simplifying the language and making sure that the terms and conditions are favorable. They may not meet every person's standard, but they should be favorable to the fact that the majority, whether employed or not, can easily afford these insurance covers. Then the other issue is making sure that Ugandans are more aware of the available insurance types. What insurance premiums are you offering? Of what benefit do they have? Because if someone is going to be putting their money into something, or they are saving their money with an insurance company, in that sense, someone would wish to know that if at all I am paying, let's say, third party, if at all I'm contributing to health insurance, or if at all I opened up an education cover or premium, what am I going to get from the same? It may not be a profit, but of what value does it add to me? In that way, it is going to limit the trust issues, create more awareness, so that many of the Ugandans will definitely choose to either pull out of insurance or join insurance companies.
Well, thank you, Joram. Now we will end this conversation right here. We have been looking into why Ugandans are not uptaking insurance policies as much as they should be. Reports indicate that only 1% of Ugandans are formally insured. Majority of Ugandans that decide to do anything to do with insurance are going to consider the informal avenues, and most of these have their levels of education are around a primary level. But then Ugandans that are above post-secondary education, majority of them are not insured, yet they have access and are liable to get insurance protection, insurance cover, but they're not taking it up. And the reasons as to why have been shared. So if you've just caught this conversation ending, you can check it out on our YouTube channel, because it was one enlightening and educative one. But now we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we have Good Morning Uganda Tourism Express with Irene Allen Namisango.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja Ankole segment. Learn about the fabrication of Ankole Kingdom from Nkore at the detriment of Mpororo states. What is the glue that holds together peoples of the beautiful village of milk and honey?
Ankole as a kingdom came about in 1901.
Ankole is a colonial fabrication.
And all these so small kingdoms were counties of the original Itara.
Ruhinda Ruanjunachi,
the son of Wamara Rhanjanjojo Rwabwera,
who was a Mchwezi.
There are times when we were Pamoja, the same people.
Tuko Pamoja? Catch this in Ishaka Bushenyi at Berlin Hotel on Saturday, 31st August, and in Barra at Las Vegas Garden Hotel on Sunday, 1st September 2024. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Uganda being the Pearl of Africa, it is blessed with the big game. What are the big game? These are the 5 most or strongest animals in the world. When we talk about the big game, we are definitely talking about the lions, the king of the jungle, the buffaloes, elephants, rhinos, and the leopard. Today we are blessed that we are exploring the kings of the jungle and those other lions. We are at Uwek, the only, okay, not the only, but the major exosuit that we have in the country. It is a home to 13 lions. Some of them have been bred from here, and others were just rescued from different areas, maybe like Sophie, who was rescued from Action Falls and brought here. She was hand raised. But something that is most amazing about these lions at Uwek is the hand raising of these lions. Did you know that you can hand raise lions? Like you feed them with formula that is maybe they've made research and known what is contained in the breast milk of a lion, and they mix formula that can be fed on by these lions. So you hand raise lions, and maybe at about 3 months or 4 months, then that is the time they start introducing them to maybe minced meat and introducing them to soft meat. But it is exciting to know that you can actually rescue a lion from the wild and then hand raise it, and you feed it to see that it doesn't die out. However, we cannot say that there are not cases where lions have been hand raised and they still fail to make it. But this is one way that shows that there is a lot as humans that we can do to conserve the environment, but also to preserve the wildlife for the future generation. So here at Uwek, you see how lions are so much taken care of, the concern that they have, the medication they get, the concern, the environment, how they clean their places where they stay. It is just exciting to know that there is an exosuit in Uganda where they take care of this wildlife, these wild lions, and they live to their full capacity as they would live in the wild. So if you haven't taken time to explore or to visit Uwek, this is one place that you're sure, you do not doubt that when you come here to Uwek, you're definitely going to see these lions. Hi, Amy.
Hello, how are you?
Interactions and discussions about the species at Uwek.
Yes, my name is Aine Magara Hanwell, and I'm a zookeeper here at Uganda Wildlife Conservation Education Center. I've been here for 3 years, keeping lions, rhinos, different wildlife. Lions are among the top game people travel across counties to look at. They're magnificent animals. They are associated with power. They are kings of jungles. They are roars. Their size. They are very, very magnificent animals to look at. And most tourists on every safari, in every conservation area, they look forward to looking at the lions, and also them being the biggest cats that we have in Africa. They are also associated with teamwork because they usually hunt in very, very huge groups. But also, lions are also, the fact that males do less of the hunting and females do most of the hunting. It excites people that the females do most of the work, but the males eat first. Yeah, just like most African homes, I guess, or most homes.
That is unfair.
I guess so. Yeah. So the breeding of lions outside their natural environment, something not very challenging, because for animals just like people, in order to breed, you should have food, and the right sexual ratios. So if you have a male and a female and they are feeding well and they are well cared for, they will breed. And usually lions The females reach sexual maturity at around 4 years. Males go up to 5 to 6 years. However, those in captivity reach sexual maturity at a very early age. We've seen male lions like Africa reaching sexual maturity at even 3 years, being able to father children or being able to father cubs. So and the reason being that when they are here in a captive environment, they eat on a daily basis. So they mature very fast compared to their counterparts in the wild. So they can easily breed in captivity than in the wild. But also in the captive environment, all conditions are controlled. It gets sick, immediately intervene. And most people ask me how do they medicate lions, their lions. So mostly we medicate through food. Depending on the condition or depending on the assessment of the doctors, you can either through food or you can put them to sleep and you work on them. Yeah. So it is, but also the rate at which lions die in the natural environment is alarming. Almost 1 out of 3 die. They don't reach maturity. But here you can have 5 cubs and all the cubs grow. Because they will eat, the mother will breastfeed. But even if the mother doesn't want to breastfeed, we do what we call hand raising. Some of the lions here have been hand raised on formulas. There is a formula for cats called S-Brack. So some of the ones that are rescued, or sometimes the female lions in captivity have what we call poor mother abilities. They fail to raise a young one. So we come in as humans and we hand raise them. A lion like Ali Upareria, he was hand raised, and there she is. There he is, probably 3 years. Yeah.
So at work, you can actually engage in so many activities that can actually get you closer to these wild animals. And one of them that has been common is the behind the scenes experience. But today I got to learn that there is also another activity that is dubbed Keeper for a Day. So this day you come and be a zookeeper just for 1 day, from morning to evening. You engage with the zookeepers, the educators, you engage with vets here. So you see how they take on their daily lives, how do they clean, how do they feed these animals. So you can also have that experience. You be a zookeeper for a day. Well, giving you a travel tip for today, it is quite simple. The fact that we are in the zoo, we are still telling you that when you visit such places, please make sure that you listen. Listen to your instructors, listen to your educators. Some of the times that you visit these places, they can tell you, don't go here. This place is restricted, but you also insist to go there. But if something happens to you, so just make sure that you listen to your instructors or your guide as you explore the beautiful wildlife species that reside in Uwek. Thank you so much. We still have a lot that is coming in from Uwek. We shall take you around the whole zoo, just at the comfort of your desk. Thank you so much.
Well, good morning and good to have your company. Welcome along to Good Morning Uganda Business. I am Jerome Paul Sonko, and our first business report takes us to Lira City because developments coming in from there have revealed that Lira City has banned the irregular sale of molasses and homestead distillation of Varaji as a threat to public health. The dealers are asked to move to gazette areas before enforcement starts anytime, according to new developments from the city. Now, 4 years, when you look at what has been happening in Lira City, there has been a lot of public outcry in the manner which molasses are sold and distilled within the homesteads. The manner many of the people in Lira find unhealthy and disturbing. Now, the stench smell from the released waste make the environment inhabitable, a situation that has resulted to a number of disputes among families. Some deaths were also recorded. Now, the city has banned homestead distillation and irregular sale of molasses, as according to the RCC, they have now banned the homestead distillation and visited the distillation sites and held an engagement meeting with the dealers. The RCC asked the dealers to move to the Gazette area before enforcement. There was, however, a drama when the area councillor rose up against the decision, and also besides the health threat, the business is a source of income for over 800 urban dwellers within Lira city. Now, a jerrycan of distilled warrage is sold at 40,000 Ugandan shillings, and the city has identified a private land in an open space for distillation, although some have protested the decision, with which the majority welcomed the new development, especially those who are not dealers, but those who are affected by the smell of the distillation process and entire process of dealing with the molasses and alcohol production. And well, away from Lira City, we now turn our focus on coffee farming in the country, because Audrey Rawogo, the chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Exports and Industrial Development, PASAID, has urged coffee farmers in the Greater Luwero region, which includes districts like Nakasongora, Nakaseke and Luwero districts, to enhance on the quality of coffee being produced, and in order to meet the standards that are on demand on the international markets. Now, during his visit to Luwube in Luwero district, where he introduced investors from Sabia to local farmers, he was encouraging many of them to meet up to the standards and also maintain, in order to upbeat the competition that is there on the international stage. Now, coffee is one of Uganda's pride crops, with increasing interest in its cultivation, especially in central Uganda over the years. And however, despite many farmers being involved in coffee growing, not so many of them are earning from growing or dealing in coffee production. Now, besides that, many of them being involved in the coffee production, when you look at those who reap big, many reaping with big from the coffee sector are either the middlemen or the brokers, and also those who are adding value to the coffee beans at the end of the day, meaning those who are in the exporting, those who are in the packaging, and those who export ready to take coffee. Now, that said, during the visit, Rabogo and the investors toured several coffee farmers and their farms across the 3 districts to assess the current state of coffee cultivation and the efforts being made to enhance quality. Now, the visit also included the launch of the Bulemezi Heritage Coffee Cooperative Union, a cooperative representing coffee farmers from the 3 districts, founded by Paul Bukenya. Now, Bukenya discussed the challenges and needs the coffee farmers face within the region, as well as asking for more of the support from the government. Now, Audrey Rabogo encouraged the farmers to take their responsibilities seriously, emphasizing that the market opportunities do exist, and everyone needs to gear up for the opportunities that do arise, and meeting standards is one of the most crucial bit of it, because on the international market, for you to keep the market, which is also difficult to get at times, you always have to make sure that you meet the standards, and you have to avail the products when need be. Now, that said, they were also encouraged, the farmers, not to disappoint by falling short in their efforts to enhance in regards to coffee production. And also, when you look at the initiative, this particular one is a strong push towards bettering the livelihoods of farmers in Greater Luwero by focusing on quality, unit, and leveraging both local and international support. Now, also, please do note that the European Union has been pushing for climate change conversations in regards to where coffee production, where coffee cultivation is. That if at all you want to keep your coffee market in Europe, you have to make sure that you have a certificate that approves that where you cultivate your coffee was not a piece of land that was deforested, or it was not a forest that was deforested for you to get that piece of land. Why? Because as much as we are pushing for coffee production and cultivation, the element of environmental conservation is one to also look at and prioritize. Now, lastly, from our business update this morning is the forex market, courtesy of the central bank, to see how the various currencies have been faring on the exchange, courtesy of the Bank of Uganda. Now, these particular ones do change 3 times a day or updated 3 times daily from Monday to Friday. The US dollar was buying at 3,710.05 shillings while selling at 3,720.05. By midday, the US dollar was buying at 3,712.14 Ugandan shillings while selling at 3,722.14 shillings. Closing time, the US dollar was buying at 3,712.23 while selling at 3,722.23. The Great Britain pound was buying at 4,910.90 while selling at 4,924.13. The euro was buying at 4,137.28 while selling at 4,148.42. And the Kenyan shilling was buying at 28.77 shillings while selling at 28.85 shillings. The Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.36 shillings while selling at 1.37 shillings, and the South African rand was buying at 208.86 shillings while selling at 209.42 shillings. And that is how you will find the forex market. Now, that does it for business this week on Good Morning Uganda. I'll be back on Monday with the latest from the Good Morning Uganda business desk. But that said, on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m., please do note that UBC does air for you the business roundup, a weekly wrap of business stories that have been making waves across the entire week within the country and across the region. Chantal Oliver Canada is here with the traffic updates. Good morning.
The traffic updates this morning, if you intend to use Bwaise's side, we are getting you to town and also showing you different parts of town, how traffic is faring, so that you know what you are driving into this very morning. Now, we are starting off from the Bwaise roundabout. Now, in Bwaise, if you're coming from the Kampala Gulu Highway, you'll be finding no traffic. However, you'll be finding a bit of traffic as you are exiting now to join the Kampala Gulu Highway. And if you are intending to join the Kampala Northern bypass, that is from the Kampala Gulu Highway, you'll be finding a bit of traffic and slow movement at the very beginning, but after that you'll be okay to move. When we cross through and join Bombo Road has no traffic. When you look at if you're coming from Bwaise roundabout. However, if you intend to use Sir Apollo Kagwa Road, you'll be finding no traffic as well as you are moving, except where you'll be finding the part that has the junction to Chimera Road. It's where you'll be finding a lot of traffic on there, as you can see, and this traffic stretches further all the way to the junction that has Namfubambi Road, but after that you'll be finding no traffic until you get to the junction that takes you to Makere Hill Road. It's where you'll be finding traffic, and if you cross through and proceed on to Sao Paulo Kagwa Road, just slow movement, but after that there is nothing for you to worry about. Makere Hill Road seems to be having no traffic. If you're using it to join Hoima Road, still there is no traffic at all. Balintuma Road has no traffic. Makere Hill Road bringing you to Gaddafi Road has no traffic until you enter or you join Gaddafi Road, and you'll be finding traffic at the junction that has Sepiria Mukasa Road. That is where you'll be finding traffic. Now, Mapambana Road has no traffic. Now, this is deep down into town. Nachivuo Road as well seems to be having a bit of traffic, especially when you are closing into the junction that has Chagwe Road. That is where you'll be finding traffic. And if you are still onto Gaddafi Road and you're trying to join Old Kampala, at the moment Old Kampala seems to be having no traffic this time round. However, if you intend to use Muwanga 2 Road, you'll be finding no traffic, but Rubaga Road seems to have traffic, and if you're using Rubaga Road to join to Musajja Lumba Road, you'll be finding a bit of traffic, especially at where the roads join. That's where you'll be finding a bit of traffic. Now, Butikido Road has no traffic. As you can see, Mwanga Road has a bit of traffic, especially at the junction that leads you to Kafumbe Mukasa Road. And if you're using Kafumbe Mukasa Road, the side that has the bus terminals, the side of Namirembe Road, there's bits and parts that have traffic in the middle there. And if you intend to use Namirembe Road to join Mwanga Road, you'll be finding a bit of traffic at the junction that has Mackay Road. Allen Road seems to be having slow movement in the middle there. Now, Benchiwanuka Street has traffic, especially at the junction that has Namirembe Road, and takes you all the way to Baton Street. And if you are now someone that is on Entebbe Road, and on Entebbe Road you are trying to connect to town, that is the Queensway, or connect to the Kampala flyover, you'll be finding no traffic. But if you are coming from the Kampala flyover trying to come to the side of Benchiwanuka Street, you'll be finding a lot of traffic right there. Queensway is okay for you to use. However, Katwe Road seems to be having parts that are okay and other parts that have a lot of traffic. But also, if you move further onto Queensway and you get to the Kampala Clock Tower, you will be finding a lot of traffic on there as you are joining the Kampala Clock Tower. And if you're trying to exit onto Mobutu Road, there is traffic both incoming and outgoing from the roundabout. Then if you're trying to join the Kampala Entebbe Road, you'll be finding no traffic. But you who is coming from Kampala Entebbe Road trying to come to town, you'll be finding a lot of traffic on those roads. And well, that is how we seem to be standing in terms of traffic today, the different parts of town, as you are trying to see which is the best route that you can use. But at the moment, Kampala Road seems to be having no traffic, except a few parts that usually are junction areas and lights. They're the ones that bring you, seem to be having a lot of traffic. The likes of Speak Road have no traffic. Nile Avenue has no traffic. Pilkington Road, no traffic. Kimathi Avenue, no traffic. And Shimoni Road also has no traffic. Speak Road has no traffic, as you can see. Duster Street, William Street, no traffic at all. Button Street, no traffic. Johnston Street, no traffic. And literally, that is how we are standing this morning. And that's it for our traffic updates. Stay tuned, because the conversation on yesterday's sitting is coming up next in the agenda with Olive Monica Najuma.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years.
Out of the blue, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000, or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice.